So tonight I'm going to talk about one key question that you could ask that has huge influence on people. Now, language can transform how we interact with our family, with our friends, and even in business. It can affect how persuasive we are, how influential we are. Now, obviously, when we learn some techniques within our language that has that ability, the fan's coming through. Okay. There we are. Have to just deal with the heat. So when we know some of these words that we can use that are influential, then obviously we need to do it ethically and appropriately. The whole idea of understanding how language can improve the relationships that we have, be it with friends, family, or even in business, is so that we can get things done more effectively, so that we can have stronger relationships, we can build more rapport. So it's not in order to get somebody to do something that they don't want to do. It's about influencing that change, I guess, a little bit quicker and a little bit more seamlessly. So one of the things that you can do in particular when you're speaking to somebody is to slow down, to say something a little bit quieter, because immediately, as soon as I say something a little bit quieter, it's curiosity. When you've got curiosity, you're going to have a lot more influence on a person. It's just human nature. It's almost like if a parent's talking to a child, so say the dad's talking to the child and he says, "Is mum around?" So sure, the statement "is mum around" is automatically going to think, "Oh, there might be something juicy here." So the child automatically is curious, but it's also because as soon as you say to someone, "Is mum around?" you automatically drop your tone. You say it a bit quieter, and often there's a difference in speed. So that creates a certain curiosity. What that leads to then is having more influence with what you say next. So one of the things when you're speaking to somebody, there's a key big phrase that you can use. So say you're in a business meeting, and you can use this with kids, you can use this with your partner. Obviously you'll change the words up a little bit, but some of the key phrases that go through the statement need to be there. So say you're in a business meeting and somebody's about to get up and leave. They're packing their bag up, and that's sort of the pretty universal language for saying, "All right, we're done, I'm out of here." You can say to them, "Is there any question you need to ask me now in order for you to feel completely sure and certain that you've accomplished everything that you want to today?" It might sound a little bit trite, it might sound a little bit formal, but obviously you can mix it up a little bit and use the words as applicable to a child or applicable to a spouse that you're talking to. Because at the end of the day, when we're communicating, we have a certain message that we want to be received, and we want to make sure that that person has all the tools that they need to do what's been discussed. Again, if you're talking to a child and you need them to do an activity, you want to make sure they've got all the information or the tools that they need. If you've made an agreement with a partner, you want them to have all the information so they feel secure in the decision, so then the action will follow. So in the statement that I said, "Is there any one question?" Now, if you go back and watch the video again, you'll see that I did this. So I didn't actually, well, I think I might have said any question at the start. So I don't want lots and lots of questions because we've obviously discussed it, but I want to make sure that they've got complete clarity. So is there any question? So you're using your body language. The other thing that I said next was, you need to ask me. So you're embedding in there, you need. So subconsciously, the person's thinking, "Oh, do I? Is there anything I need to ask? Is there anything I need to clarify?" In order for you to feel completely. So again, I'm using, hi Hamal, Hamal and I did NLP together. So as you're asking these questions, you're using tone of voice. So each of the statements as you go along, is there any question you need to ask now? So again, that's another embedded statement because you want them to feel that it's a safe space to ask you the question. So same if you're talking to a partner, if you're talking about something that's a little bit contentious or heated, you want them to feel comfortable that it's okay to ask another question. Then of course, in order to be sure and confident or sure and certain that you have what you need to accomplish or that you are able to do it, or that you can get things done, whatever the end statement is. So of course, in response to it, they can either say, no, I'm good, nothing else, or it may give them the opportunity to divulge something that was actually quite important that they just weren't quite certain about asking. Now, in a business context, this could come up a lot. So if you're in sales or customer service, it's a great question to leave someone with, to be sure that everything is smoothed out, they have what they need to go and do what they need to do for their part of it. That way that the communication has been clear. So just keep in mind with all of this, when we talk about embedded commands or embedded questions, most of the communication that we have, it's manipulative to a degree. So whether that's, educating someone or equipping someone to do something, or asking someone, or someone's being a comedian, like they're entertaining you, there's still a degree of manipulation there. Now I know manipulation has a very negative connotation to it, but the biggest thing with all of these tools with language is the intent. So if it's coming from an intent to manipulate or be underhanded, obviously that's wrong, or that's not where we want to be coming from. The idea of having these tools that we have with embedded commands is to come from a place of good intention, so that we're actually improving the communication so that things can be done more, effectively and quicker. So I'll go into this a little bit more on my next video. It's a bit hot tonight, to be honest. Keep going, I'm melting here. So look, I hope that was helpful. I know it's a lot to take in, because it's not something that we use in everyday language that we're aware of. So there's a lot of questions that we ask on a daily basis. One of them I remember when I was younger is someone saying, oh, you don't mind giving me a lift home, do you? That's an example of an embedded command, because you've already implied that the person's going to do it, even though you've asked it as a question. So there's a lot of these embedded commands and questions that we use in everyday life that we're not even aware of. It's when we want to actually, elicit a response more effectively, we can use some of these commands. I'll leave you with one that I think is a really good one. An example is, say when you have children, when we've all been children, so there's times where a parent has said, oh, you should do athletics, or you should learn an instrument, or you should do X, Y, Z. And of course, children are no different to us. They get fearful of things, and they get concerned that they can't do it. They might be embarrassed. So the first thing they say is, I can't. And then as a parent, what's one of the first things you'll say? Yes, you can. Of course you can. What happens then? An argument. No, I can't. Yes, you can. No, you can't. Yes, I can. Oh, yes, you can. So, of course, this child then, naturally, like anybody in an argument like that, they start to store up all these reasons to, reinforce that belief that, no, I can't learn an instrument. I'm tone deaf. I can't sing. I can't be too embarrassed. So what you want to do is, when somebody says I can't, obviously with children it's a little bit different, it's no different with children to adults, sorry. A good thing to say when somebody says I can't is to say, I know you feel like you can't. But then there's a great question that you can ask after that, because as soon as you say I know you feel like you can't, all of a sudden you've agreed with them. So there takes away that biology to want to argue. But what it also does is it creates this temporary state around it, because I've said I know you feel like you can't. I haven't said you can't. I just said I know you feel like you can't. And then you ask, what would happen if you could? Or what would happen if you did? The good thing about a question like that is it makes the brain straight away create these images. So it starts to imagine being able to do it, being confident and comfortable and actually doing this thing. It's very interesting when we're using the biology. Try it sometime. You'll get great results. The minute you get great results, your brain can't help but file that away as something, I'm getting great results. It's a good thing. So enjoy having more people say yes. Enjoy what it feels like. You'll notice that all of a sudden it becomes easier and easier. And saying something like, what would happen if you could? What would happen if you did? It just all of a sudden changes the whole biology, the whole biochemistry, and that's where our emotions come from. We get this cascade of chemicals, creates a sensation and a feeling. So use it wisely, use it ethically and appropriately, but use it only when you are at your best, or rather when you have the best interests of the person at heart. So it's not to be used in a manipulative way, but in a way to actually make communication more effective. So that's it. I'll go into a little bit more about embedded commands and how you can, weave these into your conversations. There's a simple 3-step process which I'll run through on Wednesday. So have a great weekend. For those in the southern states, you're very lucky because it's very hot here in Queensland. And I'll see you all on Wednesday. Thanks for joining me.